My soul tribe. I'm so happy to see you guys. Yesterday morning, I stumbled upon, I'm just going to jump right into talking about myself for a minute. I have to share with my friends. I was standing down in my kitchen trying to share this with the people in my life. And I said, it was like, I need to find some non-muggle folk. Like, I need to find some magical people to talk to about this kind of stuff. Because it's just, it doesn't, like when you talk to someone about something magical and they're just like, oh, that's weird. No hate to them. We're just, I needed to talk to you guys about this. So I'm just going to info dump on you for a minute about something that I came across. And I kind of knew that I was a starseed. I didn't when I started my channel. And then I had a few people tell me they thought I was a starseed. Somebody even told me they thought I was an indigo child or whatever. But I then started learning about starseeds. But for some reason, on New Year's Eve, I went down a rabbit hole about starseeds. Like it was really bizarre. It was like right after midnight. I went down this rabbit hole of starseeds and researching starseeds and looking at all the different types of starseeds. I'm going to say starseeds a lot in this reading. And I have my starseed deck out. Anyway, I guess it didn't click for me. Like I've looked at all the different types of starseeds before, but it wasn't clicking for me back then when I looked, and I haven't looked at it again in a little while. So I feel like I should learn how to say it, a Pleiadian starseed. That's the one that I resonate with the most. And I just want to talk a little bit about what that is. Starseeds all have different missions. And one of the missions of the Pleiadian, or however you say it, somebody help me, please help me. If I knew how to spell it correctly, I would look on Google. Whenever I type it into Google, it just wants to correct my spelling and not actually tell me how to say it. So maybe you could do me a solid and tell me how to say it properly so that I'm not looking like an idiot out here. But I started researching Pleiadian starseeds, and I got, like, yesterday morning, I was super excited. And you're the only people in my life that I can talk to about this type of stuff that understands. Like, just all the synchronicities I was finding were just blowing my mind. So let me just talk about it for a minute. Their mission on Earth is to raise the vibration, or like help people come into consciousness. They specialize in like unconditional love and healing. And what was the other thing? And helping others, inspiring others to go towards their life purpose. And I was like, that's everything that I'm doing on my channel. And then, so I started researching it further. And apparently Pleiadian, whatever it is, starseeds always feel like outcasts and always feel like they're an alien, like they don't quite fit in on this earth. And I've said that 1,000,001 times, I'm exaggerating a little in my readings, that I've never felt like I fit in here. I always felt like I was an outcast. I always felt like I was on the outside looking in at people. Like I don't understand. That's why I watch reality TV, because I don't understand humans at all. And I've always kind of felt like an observer of humans rather than an actual human, if that makes sense. I know it makes sense to you guys. And I just started thinking about the fact that starseeds, like, from what I was reading, they're meant to step into their purpose and then find other people from their star cluster or whatever. And I just started thinking, like, if I'm a starseed, then you must be a starseed. And I'm not saying you have to be a starseed, but there's a reason you're drawn to my soul tribe readings. There's a reason that you like to listen to me ramble about nothing. We're aligned in some way, and it could be because you are a starseed. You don't have to be the same starseed as me, but I'm like all excited about people finding out what kind of starseed they are and stepping into their purpose. Let's take over the world. I'm hearing Pinky in the brain, like, what are we going to do today? Take over the world. Anyway, so I was getting like more and more excited as I was looking up Pleiadian starseeds. And I found out so many cool things that like I really resonated with, like the alien thing. The other thing is that they often, they can be people pleasers and overgivers. They can be like, maybe you resonate with being one of these types of starseeds. I'm only talking about one type. There's many types. I'm only talking about the Pleiadian, however you say it. I'm going to spell it for you and then you can help me. What else? There were so many things. They're often considered the black sheep of their family. They are the ones that break away from their families and heal ancestral wounds and generational trauma. Again, black sheep of the family. That's me. I've said my whole life, I'm the black sheep of my family. Trouble fitting in, feeling like an outcast, feeling like an outsider, feeling like an alien. They usually believe in magical things or extraterrestrial, whatever the word is, things. There's so many. They have a hard time being in crowds. And I know I've talked to you guys about that. And it hit me like a ton of bricks that the reason I was always told that the reason that I have a hard time being around a lot of people or being in crowds is because I had anxiety, or I was just anxious, or I think at one point it was like generalized anxiety disorder or something. And then, I believed it was because I was neurodivergent and autistic and all those things. Again, I'm starting to believe that neurodivergent people are just people who are, I shared a thing on Instagram last night, but I feel like highly sensitive people, neurodivergent people, are actually just people having a hard time living this human existence. They're actually like starseeds and highly spiritual beings. But one of them, again, it made a ton of sense to me yesterday. It just hit me like a ton of bricks. Part of the reason I have a hard time with crowds is because I do pick up on other people's energy. So all my life, I thought it was anxiety that I was feeling, but maybe it's everybody's emotions and everybody's energy. That's why I have a hard time being in crowds. So another characteristic of a Pleiadian, how many times am I going to mispronounce it? Starseed is sensitivity to food, which I was like, yeah, that's me. Problems with crowds. There was another one, sensitivity to food, being overstimulated, like becoming overstimulated by noises and things like that. I think that's maybe, I may be hitting the end of the list. And then it said that a lot of Pleiadian starseeds have birthmarks, and I do have 2 birthmarks. And my mom used to make a joke about how my birthmarks are like parallel to each other. I have one on my stomach, one on my back. They're very tiny. My mom used to call them fish, and she said they like line up perfectly, almost like a fish shot through me. That's interesting. Anyway, and one of the markers or birthmarks for Pleiadian starseeds, however you say it, is parallel birthmarks. So birthmarks that line up in some way. And then I was looking, they can either be like geometrical shaped, or whatever the word is, whatever the wordage is, or they can look like, I remember one more. They can look like the actual star cluster, the Pleiadian star cluster. So this morning, I'm going to tell you because you're my bestie. And I have a friend, a spiritual friend, hi Michelle, that I talk to in text, but I couldn't put all this in text. And I know she'll watch this. Hang on. So anyway, I decided to inspect my birthmark, and it does in fact look like a tiny cluster of stars. And again, it's parallel. I have one here and I have one directly, like directly on the backside. Not my bum, but directly on my back, right? Like parallel with the one on my stomach. Look at me turning red. And it looks like a little tiny cluster of stars. And then I started thinking about the fact that I'm always drawn to a certain cluster of stars in the sky. Starseed, I've always been someone who likes looking at the stars. Of course, I have a learning disability, so I never learned about the stars. I could never remember all the constellations. Like I know some of them. But I'm someone who's always looking at the stars. Like every night I sit outside for like an hour and a half at night by myself, recharging my battery. Starseed. And I spend a lot of time looking at the stars. Like when my sister was here, she said, oh, it'd be so nice to see a shooting star. I haven't seen a shooting star in like 15 years. And I'm like, I see them all the time. It's because I'm always looking up at the sky. You need to look up if you want to see a shooting star. But anyway, apparently the cluster of stars that I always look at, my partner looked it up. It actually is the Pleiadian starseed cluster, which is visible. And it's in the constellation of Taurus, and I'm a Taurus. Anyway, to me, this is just like straight up like mind blown, mind blown, mind blown, mind blown. And anyway, I just wanted to share that with you because I don't have, like, you're my besties. Like, I don't have anybody in my life that understands what I'm talking about right now. Like, if I was to show this to them, they'd be like, you're crazy. Anyway, I want to look up Pleiadian starseeds or whatever they're called. Do I even have the right book? I might not have the right book. I don't have the right I don't have the right book. Hang on. How embarrassing. I didn't even have the right book. So anyway, Pleiades or whatever, Pleiades, however you're supposed to say that word. I just want to read it to you. I haven't read it since I was Googling all this stuff. Down a rabbit hole I went about starseeds. Pleiades, is that how you say it? Pleiadian lifestyle, Pleiadian lifestyle starseed. Oh, I've got the giggles. Double mission, channeling and uplifting humanity. The Pleiadian, someone help me, are a group of star beings dedicated to raising the vibration of the planet and sharing new consciousness through creations and technology. They have been incarnating on Earth since near the beginning of humanity. You are a soul who has a double mission, to grow at a soul level and to raise the vibration of the planet. If you have been called to write, speak, or channel, this is your sign to keep doing it. Your work is divinely guided. Of all the souls, Pleiadians, whatever they're called, are the chattiest. And I always say in my readings, like I know I've mentioned this when this card has come out in one of my readings, I am not a chatty person. Like, take it from my friend Michelle, who I don't do phone calls. I don't do, like, I'm not a chatty person. And all my life, like, I was very quiet. When I was younger, my mom was worried about me because I wouldn't talk, and she would catch me talking to myself in like a corner. She said I was practicing speaking, which I can see for myself. But she said it took me a long time to speak, but she would catch me speaking to myself, like as like a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old. She would catch me speaking to myself in corners. Maybe I was talking to my spirit guides, like, anyway, I really feel called to share a picture of me when I was a kid with you that my sister showed me the other day. Before, I was programmed. Anyway, this says like Pleiadians become very chatty when they're channeling. And I don't know if you've watched my readings, but I can talk when I'm channeling. When I'm channeling, like I was trying to explain what channeling is, because I never understood it. Sometimes it feels like there's someone else speaking for me, because you're opening yourself up as a channel to source. Anyway, so I found it really funny that this says Pleiadians are super chatty, because when I channel, I get very chatty. Like this right here, I'm chatty as fuck with you guys. But like if I were to sit down with someone, I'd probably be like, how are you? That's good. Like I wouldn't say much. Another thing about Pleiadian starseeds is that they crave deep connections. And that is something that I've never understood surface level connections. I've never understood, like, I don't want a surface level connection, whether it's a friendship, whether it's family. That's part of the reason I like lost my family, is because I told them I want real relationships. I want close, like, I want to be close with you. I want to build a bond with you. And this feels very like, I didn't feel like I knew my family at all. Anyway, so I find that very interesting. Thank you for listening. My ring stuck to the book. So, of all the souls, Pleiadians, whatever they're called, are the chattiest. So perhaps you have already started channeling some of this work into the third dimension. Thank you for doing your part in this great plan. Your presence and unique light is needed. Anyway, so you, like, this is Work Your Light Oracle, which is a different deck than what I'm about to use. But I just started thinking, like, if I'm a starseed and you're drawn to me, soul tribe, then perhaps you're a starseed. And for a lot of you, you probably are like, yeah, I am a starseed and I know what one I am and I know how to pronounce it. But if you haven't looked into starseeds, like, you should look into the different types of starseeds, because they all have different missions. And I definitely resonate with the raising the vibration, healing. Anyway, so thank you for listening to my 17-minute rant. It's not a rant. We're socializing. I was never taught how to socialize either, so I don't know. But thank you for listening, because like I said, I tried to share that with a muggle and they just didn't understand. And then it didn't feel, I just kind of felt like it's like a little like dimming your light, you know, like, do you know what I mean? That's what it felt like. It felt like dimming my light. It felt like my light was shining too brightly in that moment. And the muggle was like, and I felt like I had to turn down my light a little. And I don't believe that we should be turning down our light for anyone. So that's why I decided to come on here and spew it all over you. Anyway, thank you for listening. For those of you who didn't fast forward. So I do want to get the Starseed deck because I'm curious. I know I've gotten it for you guys before, but again, I just started thinking, like, if I'm a starseed, I'm meant to find other starseeds, and I feel like a lot of you are starseeds. Again, you already know that you're a starseed, but for those of you who don't, let's talk about it. Anyway, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I really needed to get that off my chest. I was so excited when I was finding out all this information that I resonated with about those types of starseeds. I'm going to stop trying to say the name now. I will go properly learn how to say it. I will go learn how to properly say it. There we go. But yeah, thank you for listening. So let's get a starseed card for you, my little starseeds. And we'll see what you need to hear about you. You may not resonate with everything or every card, but let's start. And I'm also going to finish the chapter of that self-sabotage book. We're only on chapter 2. We've got a long way to go, but that's okay. Look at my little blah. When I was in school, whenever I did public speaking or whenever like someone I like talked to me, or I was experiencing perceived rejection, and I've talked about rejection sensitivity before. So like I wasn't even being rejected, or I got in trouble, or like I said, somebody just spoke to me, I would turn like bright red. Like people can usually tell how I'm feeling because that happens. So, you know, I was feeling a little embarrassed, info dumping on you like that, but I was just really excited to share with my besties. You know what it's like? Like everything that I was reading, I was like, I resonate with that. I resonate with that. I do feel like an alien. I am the black sheep of my family. I do have food sensory issues. I hate crowds. So yeah, I suggest looking up the different starseed types and what their missions are. And then once you figure out which starseed you're resonating with, look up the characteristics of that starseed and see if you resonate with those. Maybe you'll get excited as I did. But let's get you a card, my starseeds. So let's see what you need to hear. Some of this might not be about like what type of starseed you are, but yeah. We have breath of the cosmos, my will to thy will, micromanaging the universe. It's also going to get dark during our reading, but I don't care. So I'm going to learn my lesson and go to the table of contents. Breath of the cosmos. Why do I want to say, is it cosmos? I always want to say cosmos. I think it's just because I have problems. When we rely on our own will, we're micromanaging the universe and resisting the natural flow of life. We're not trusting the mysterious breath of life. We're rejecting the great cosmic intelligence and relying instead on our personal strength. When we do this, we find ourselves attempting to bend things to our will. We spend our time forcing, pushing, and living from a space of trying to. Everyone around us can feel it, and the universe can too. You're being called to stop micromanaging the universe and trust the breath of life. To surrender to the greater will that whatever you believe in has for you. To move from my will to thy will. When you surrender to the greater will of life, you begin dancing with the rest of life. When you bow to the great mystery and say, please use me, please show me the way, little by little you find yourself living your most fulfilling, authentic life. When you surrender your personal will, when you relinquish control and release the way you think things should be, and surrender to the greater will, you find yourself being led. You begin breathing the breath of life. So your activation, so put your hand over your heart. I'm willing to stop relying on my own strength and personal agenda and instead surrender to the breath of life. Dear higher power, it says God, but not everybody, people believe in different things. So whatever higher power you believe in, help me move away from my will to thy will. Please lead me. Please show me the way. This brings back memories to nights where I'm like, please, universe, just show me the way. Send me a sign. All right. So let's keep going. What else do you need to hear? We have cracked open, rock bottom, surrender to the alchemy of life. Table of contents. I need to remind myself, or I don't look at the table of contents. Table of contents, cracked open, 52. 52, 52, 50, 50, 52. I like making up little songs for everything. So, cracked open. Dark night of the soul, maybe you've been through a dark night of the soul. Don't let the weight and the density of the world squash your tender spirit. Instead, let it call even more of it home, into your body, at the center front of your life. It's through the extreme pressure of life's trials that diamonds are cultivated. It's when things are at their darkest that we cultivate proper faith and our light is ignited. It's through the crumbling that we can allow our wounds to be alchemized. Let your pain, sorrow, and losses make you, not break you. Let life alchemize your tragedies into gold. Be open to being cracked open, wide open. It's difficult times that help us grow in leaps and bounds and in ways that we could only dream were possible. But first, they have to crack us open. Sometimes it hurts like hell. It's nature's way. Whether you let it happen or not, it's going to happen, so surrender to the process. It's how the light gets in. When your crack heart's open, when your heart cracks open, I think the star cluster that I came from, we talked backwards. That's what I think. When your heart cracks open, a space is created for your soul to more fully enter. When your soul cracks open, a space is created for the grace of the Holy Spirit to enter. Let your trials, your sorrows, your pains, and your losses transform you into more and more of yourself. Stay open to the possibility that your tragedies, your losses, your sorrows, and your hurt happened for you, not to you. Bless the thing that broke you down and cracked you open, because the world needs open. Surrender to the alchemy of life. And your starseed soul inquiry, how can you let life crack you open? And we have a lot coming out. We have loosen your grip, coping mechanisms, density, addiction. So I'm just going to be honest with you. I have some like codependencies and, not like serious addictions, but some addictions, things that I see as addictions that I would like to stop doing this year. That's something that I'm focusing on. I always said I was someone with an addictive personality, and I am. And that doesn't just need to be like drugs and alcohol. That can be lots of different things. Loosen your grip. Table of contents. Loosen your grip. 88. So, just in case some of you have some things that you want to give up. We're cyclic. How do I pronounce that? Somebody help me. We're cyclic beings. Cyclic? And Mother Earth teaches us how to be human every day with the coming and going of the tides and the seasons. If you're clinging to anything, you're resisting the natural flow of who you are. And I told you guys in my last reading that I'm holding on to parts of my former self that I need to let go of. The things we cling to are so often those we need most to let go of. The food, the substances, the relationship, the job, the people-pleasing. The thing we cling to often covers up our most vulnerable space, the part we're most afraid to leave empty, the part we guard and don't let grace into. But by keeping that space covered with something that doesn't serve us, or clinging to it for fear of it not staying in its own accord, we prevent ourselves from receiving the things that will. A Course in Miracles tells us, whatever we leave empty, grace will fill. And the Buddha said, you can only lose what you cling to. Indeed, both are true. If this card appears, you're being called to find the courage to loosen your grip and give up control, to release your coping mechanisms and leave space for grace and a higher power to enter, to surrender all that feels dense to the divine. Loosening your grip doesn't mean that what you're clinging to will go away. It may or it might stay, but you can be sure that what is for you will find you, and you'll breathe easier knowing that you've shifted from relying on your own strength to surrendering to the grace of life. Your inquiry. What are you clinging to for the fear of nothing coming to take its place? ugh, I feel so attacked. I'm just kidding. It's good. To me, it's good when you feel attacked and called out by a card. It means that it's hitting something that you need to look at, you know? We have water your garden, nourishment, body care, tenderness, rest. And we have the golden children. That's us. Inner child, tenderness, innocence, rare gifts. So we have 2 cards here mentioning tenderness. That's making me think of, is it Pretty in Pink? It's making me think of Pretty in Pink when, I haven't watched that movie in so long, but I'm pretty sure I'm having a memory of Ducky, her best friend, who, did anybody else think she should have gotten with Ducky? Because I did. As a child, I watched that movie and I was like, what the hell are you doing with that other guy? You should be going after Ducky. Anyway, I was just seeing Ducky sing that song, Love and Tenderness. Anyway, water your garden. Water your garden. 120. Water your garden. Focus on the card. There we go. These are such beautiful cards. Earth is a seasonal planet, and as such, you're a seasonal being. Cyclic? Why does that word keep popping up? I think it's cyclic. You can't be on and in full bloom month after month, day after day after day after day. You're strongly being called to put on the brakes, rest, and refuel, to take a moment to restock and replenish and slow right on down. Your body is the only body you're given, and it needs to be respected as such. You're being called to take responsibility for your well-being, to put your health and body first. I know it can feel like time is running out, and as if there are urgent things that simply can't wait. However, if you keep pushing on, soon fatigue will set in. This way of living isn't sustainable. If anyone continues to race through life, eventually they will reach exhaustion, and it will take longer to recover than it would have done to rest. Immune system disorders and mystery illnesses are becoming more common because we're putting too much pressure on our bodies to keep up with the instantaneous pace of modern life. How are you being called to put on the brakes, to rest, restore, and rejuvenate? When was the last time you took a holiday or had a full weekend, day, or afternoon off? Look after your precious body and mind. Give yourself enough time to recover when you find yourself running on your reserves. There is enough time. Life will bend towards you when you do. And your starseed soul inquiry, what is your body yearning for? A little love and tenderness is what I just heard. I'm just seeing Ducky sing that song, Little Love and Tenderness. Anyway. And we have the Golden Children. And that'll be the last one I read. And then I'll finish that book. No, the chapter. We're not finishing the book today. That's not happening. Unless you want to sit here with me for 10,000 hours. Which maybe you would. I'd sit with you for 10,000 hours. So Golden Children, Children of the Sun. You know what's interesting is my name, Kelly, means bright-headed. So I find that interesting. Children of the Sun are highly advanced, extremely intelligent souls who are, and I'm not talking book smarts either. Some of you may be book smarts, but like I've been programmed and I stopped myself. I almost made a joke when it said extremely intelligent souls because I've been told that I'm not intelligent, but I am highly intelligent in different ways, just not in book smarts. See, I'm sticking up for myself. So, are highly advanced, extremely intelligent souls who are incarnating increasingly on planet Earth. They have little or no personal karma and possess incredible gifts and intuitive abilities. Golden children are born with a very clear mission. Many remember it from a young age and begin answering and sharing it early in life. Due to their unique intelligence, they may find themselves easily bored at school. Most have never incarnated on Earth before, and so, if they're not supported in the right ways, they struggle with physical life here. They're often referred to as the new humans. If you pull this card, it might be a sign that you're being called to mother, father, or nurture a child. Interesting. You may be called to tend to your own inner child, a creative project or idea, or a new beginning. To treat yourself or the new beginning with sweet, tender love. Sweet tenderness, a little tenderness. I just keep hearing that song. To nurture and nourish it, to give it every chance to grow and reach adulthood, to encourage it, to water it, to see the world through the innocence of a child, to see yourself and all others as innocent children, to remember that deep down, everyone is trying their best, and if they're treated with a tender heart, they'll not harden as they journey through this great adventure called life. How can you treat yourself or others more tenderly? All right. Once again, thank you for listening to my info dump about starseeds. I got so excited, and like I said, I needed to share it with you guys, my besties. So I am going to read the rest of this chapter with this lighting, so sorry it's getting a little dark in here. So, how to tell if you're in a self-sabotaging cycle. Even if you can, and I'm just going to mention it again, The Mountain is You is the book I'm reading. Even if you cognitively understand self-sabotaging behaviors, sometimes the most difficult shift is recognizing that we are engaging in them. In fact, sometimes the signs are so subtle that they are barely recognizable and often don't come to our attention until they become highly problematic or someone else points them out. Some of the most prominent symptoms of self-sabotage are as follows. You are more aware of what you don't want than what you do want. You spend more of your time worrying, ruminating, and focusing on what you hope doesn't happen than you do imagining, strategizing, and planning for what you do. You spend more time trying to impress people who don't like you than you spend with the people who love you for who you are. You are more focused on growing into the kind of person who evokes the envy of your supposed enemies rather than the kind of person who is beloved by their family and friends and prioritizes them no matter what. You're putting your head in the sand. You don't know basic facts about your life, like how much debt you have or what other people in your field are being paid for similar work. When you get into an argument, you run away until you forget rather than talking about what's going on and coming up with a solution. In other words, you are in denial, and so any hope of healing is futile. You care more about convincing other people you are okay than actually being okay. You'd rather post photos that make you look like you had a great time. Excuse me. Where was I? You'd rather post photos that make you look like you had a great time than being concerned about whether you actually had a good time. You put in more effort towards trying to convince everyone you're doing well, rather than being honest and connecting with the people who could help or support you. Your main priority in life is to be liked, even if that comes at the expense of being happy. You think more about whether or not your actions will earn you the approval of people, who are people, by the way, rather than whether or not they will actually make you feel fulfilled and content with who you are. You're more afraid of your feelings than anything else. If you get to the point in life which the scariest, most detrimental thing you face is the fear of whether or not you will be able to handle your own emotions, you are the one standing in your way, nothing else is. You're blindly chasing goals without asking yourself why you want those things. If you are doing everything you are supposed to be doing, I'm glad I looked at that because that's about to cut me off. If you're doing everything you were supposed to be doing and yet you feel empty and depressed at the end of the day, the issue is probably that you're not really doing what you want to be doing. You've just adopted someone else's script for happiness. You're treating your coping mechanisms as the problem. Instead of trying to incite war on yourself to overcome your overeating, spending, drinking, sexing, whatever it is you know you need to improve, ask yourself what emotional need that thing is fulfilling or filling. Until you do, you will battle it forever. You value your doubt more than your potential. Negativity bias makes us believe that bad things are more real than good, and unless we keep that inclination in check, it can leave us believing that everything we fear to be true is more real than the good things that are actually true. You are trying to care about everything. Your willpower is a limited resource. You only have so much in a day. Rather than using it to try and become good at everything, decide what matters most to you. Focus your attention on that and let everything else slip away. You are waiting for someone else to open a door, offer approval, or hand you the life you have been waiting for. We grow up with the illusion that success is what's handed to people who are most deserving, talented, or privileged. When we arrive, however, we realize that it is constructed by those who find an intersection in their interests, passions, skills, and a market gap. Sprinkle on a little bit of persistence, and the only way to fail is to give up. I only ever seek my own approval in my life. That's our affirmation. That is magic. You don't realize how far you've come. You are not the person you were 5 years ago. You evolve as your self-image does, so make sure that it's an accurate one. Give yourself credit for everything you've overcome that you never thought you would, and everything that you've built that you never thought you could. I'm just reading the next line. You've come so much farther than you think, and you're so much closer than you realize. So we have identifying your subconscious commitments. Part of the reason we often experience intense inner conflict or self-sabotage is because of something called core commitments, which is essentially your primary objective or your intention for your life. Your subconscious commitments are basically what you want more than anything else, and you often aren't even aware of them. You can identify your core commitments by looking at the things you struggle with most and the things you are most driven by. If you can peel back the layers of your motivations towards each, you'll find a root cause. When you find the same root cause for everything, you've found a core commitment. People only seem irrational and unpredictable until you understand what they are fundamentally committed to. For example, if someone has a core commitment to feel free, they may find themselves sabotaging work opportunities in order to achieve that. If someone's core commitment is to feel wanted, they could find themselves in a series of relationships in which they have intense connections, but refuse to make commitments out of fear that the spark will fade. If someone's core commitment is to be more in control of their lives, they might have irrational anxiety about things that represent a loss of control. If someone's core commitment is to be loved by others, they might pretend to be helpless in certain areas of life because if they don't need others, they might be left by them. But the most important thing to understand is that your core commitments are actually a cover-up for core needs. Your core need is the opposite of your core commitment. That's hurting my brain. I'm going to have to listen to this back. Your core need is the opposite of your core commitment. Your core need is also another way to identify your purpose. For example, if your subconscious core commitment is to be in control, your core need is trust. If your subconscious core commitment is to be needed, your core need is to know you are wanted. If your subconscious core commitment is to be loved by others, your need is self-love. That makes sense. The less you feed your core need, the louder your core commitment symptoms will be. This is very interesting. If you are a person who needs trust and is therefore committed to staying in control, the less that you believe you are supported, the more your negative coping mechanisms are going to flare up. Perhaps this could happen in the form of disruptive eating patterns, isolating yourself, or hyperfixation on physical appearance. If you are committed to freedom and therefore need a sense of autonomy, the less that you build a life on your own terms, the more you are going to sabotage opportunities and feel drained and exhausted when you should feel happy. The more you lean into fulfilling your core needs, the more your commitment symptoms will disappear. Once you understand what a person really wants, you will be able to explain the intricacies of their habits and behaviors. You will be able to predict down to the detail what they will do in any given situation. More importantly, once you start asking yourself what you really want, you'll be able to stop battling the systems and start addressing the only issue that has ever really existed in your life, which is living out of alignment with your core needs and therefore your core purpose. I'm going to have to message this author and ask her to dissect me. What are my core commitments? Hopefully when I watch this back, it'll make more sense to me. Confronting repressed emotions and taking action. There is a difference between understanding why we self-sabotage and the act of no longer self-sabotaging. This means that once we understand the root and purpose of the behavior, we adjust it, we adapt. Overcoming self-sabotage is not just a matter of understanding why you're holding yourself back. It is being able to take action in the direction that you want and need to, even if it is initially uncomfortable or triggering. This is a very important part of the process because you are essentially going to be confronting the exact emotions you have been trying to avoid. When you stop engaging in self-sabotaging behavior, repressed emotions that you weren't even aware of will start to come up, and you might feel even worse than you did before. The thing about overcoming self-sabotage is that we don't often need to be told what to do. We know what we want to do, and we know what we need to do. It is simply that we are being held back by our fear of feeling. To begin to unravel this emotional holding pattern, we can work through the following to find more ease and space and freedom while we change our lives. The most common emotions that arise while you're breaking self-sabotaging behaviors. The first feeling you are likely to confront is resistance. This is that generalized sense of being stuck or your body feeling so tense that it is almost hard, as though you were hitting a wall. This feeling is usually a masking emotion that is preventing you from actually being aware of the sensations beneath it, which are more acute. When you start to feel resistance, you don't just want to push through it. In fact, trying to do that means you keep hitting the same wall you've been up against already. You're going to strengthen the self-sabotaging behavior because you aren't really solving the problem by just trying to override it. Instead, start asking the right questions. Why do I feel this way? What is this feeling trying to tell me about the action I'm trying to take? Is there something I need to learn here? What do I need to do to honor my needs right now? Then you have to reconnect to your inspiration and your vision for life. Get clear on why you really want to take this action and make a change. When your motivation is the fact that you want to live a different and better existence, you're going to find that a lot of the resistance fades because you're being pushed by a vision that's greater than your fear. In other cases, you might run into other emotions such as anger, sadness, or inadequacy. When those feelings come up, I keep thinking about Inside Out too. When those feelings come up, it is important to make space for them. This means to allow them to rise up in your body and observe them. Watch where they make you tense up or constrict. Feel what they want you to feel. There is nothing worse than the fear of feeling the emotion, as the experience itself is ultimately often just some physical tension around which we've crafted a story. Remember that a lot of these feelings may very well have been Feelings may very well have a root in something related to the self-sabotaging behavior. If you are angry about how one of your parents treated you, it probably won't come up as a surprise that the core feeling of why you are sabotaging your relationships. The feelings associated with self-sabotage are not usually random. In fact, they can lead us to deeper insights about what we really need and what the problems within us are and what problems within us are still unresolved. To fully release those feelings once you are aware of them, try writing yourself a letter. Write something to your younger self or from the perspective of your future self. Write down a mantra or a manifesto. Remind yourself that you love yourself too much to settle for less, and that it is okay to be angry in unfair or frustrating circumstances. Give yourself space to experience the depth of your emotions so that they do not control your behaviors. Disconnecting action and feeling. The final and most important lesson to overcome self-sabotage is to learn to disconnect action from feeling. We are not held back in life because we are incapable of making change. We are held back because we don't feel like making a change, so we don't. The truth is that you can have a vision of what you want, know that it is undoubtedly right for you, and simply not feel like taking action required to pursue that path. This is because our feelings are essentially wired as comfort systems. They produce a good feeling when we are doing what we have always done, staying in familiarity. This, to our bodies, registers as safety. In other cases, the accomplishments and changes that we are very happy about are those that we also perceive to offer us a greater meaning of safety. If the achievement potentially puts us at risk in any way or exposes us to something unfamiliar, we aren't going to be happy about it initially, even if it's a net positive for our lives. However, we can actually train ourselves to prefer behaviors that are good for us. This is how we restructure our comfort zones. We begin to crave what we repeatedly do. Anytime a word is hyphenated to another line, it doesn't make sense to me. Just that line was split up onto two lines. But the first few times we do it, we often feel uncomfortable. The trick is being able to override that initial hesitation so that we are guiding our lives with logic and reason, not emotionality. Though your emotions are always valid and need to be validated, they are hardly ever an accurate measure of what you are capable of in life. They are not always an accurate reflection of reality. All your feelings know is what you've done in the past, and they are attached to what they've drawn comfort from. You may feel as though you are worthless, but you most certainly are not. You may feel as if there's no hope, but there most certainly is. You may feel as though everyone dislikes you, but that's probably a gross over-exaggeration. You may think everyone is judging you, but that is a misperception. I spent my entire life feeling like people were judging me constantly, and I realized that nobody was really paying attention to me at all. When I became a photographer, I would run into people that I knew in high school, or that I knew who everybody was. Nobody knew who I was. And I'd say oh, I went to high school with you. And they'd be like, I don't remember you. You don't look familiar. And it never failed. They would go back and look in the yearbook and my picture would be missing because I would never be there on picture day, or I'd make up some excuse as to why I didn't want my picture taken. But growing up, I felt like everyone was judging me and everyone knew who I was, not in a good way. But it turns out nobody really paid attention to me. So that was a whole lot of wasted energy looking back. Most importantly, you may feel as though you cannot take action when you most certainly can. You simply do not feel willing because you are not used to it. By using logic and vision to guide ourselves, we are able to identify a different and better life experience. When we imagine this, we feel peaceful and inspired. To rise up to meet this version of our lives, we must overcome our resistance and discomfort. We will not feel happy initially, no matter how right those actions are. It is essential that you learn to take action before you feel like doing it. Taking action builds momentum and creates motivation. These feelings will not come to you spontaneously. You have to generate them. You have to inspire yourself. You all, I hope you can hear me right now. Sometimes when I get a phone call, it mutes my reading. Let me just make sure. Yeah, we're good. But you all saw my reaction. What happens when somebody calls me? Did you see me? I was like, why are you calling me? Where was I? It is essential for you to, oh, it's spam. It's like, I don't know what I did or what website I used my number on. But all of a sudden I'm getting these weird phone calls about like, they're very sexual. They're like Chinese sex things. Anyway, they make me laugh. That was one of them, apparently. You have to inspire yourself. You have to move. You have to simply begin and allow your life and your energy to reorient itself to prefer the behaviors that are going to move your life forward, not the ones that are keeping you held back. Yeah, we did it. That was chapter 2. We did it. That was such a long chapter. We did it. I won't sing Dora the Explorer right now, but I felt called to for a minute. So chapter 3, let's just look at it. It says, your triggers are the guides to your freedom. And I always tell people that in my readings, that your triggers can teach you a lot about yourself. So your triggers are the guides to your freedom, how to interpret negative emotions. So how to interpret anger, sadness, guilt, embarrassment. Didn't I tell you I was hearing inside out too? Jealousy, resentment, regret, chronic fear. Interesting. There's a part that says our internal guidance systems whisper until they scream. That's interesting. Your subconscious mind is trying to communicate with you. Oh, this is a long chapter too. How to follow your gut without getting scared of the future. I'm just telling you what the next chapter is about. Identifying the difference between instinct and fear. Intuitive nudges versus intrusive thoughts. That's a really good one. So that's chapter 3. Chapter 3 ends on page 100 and 101. That's magical. And it's 30 pages. So that's probably going to be a 2-parter, but we'll see. Anyway, so my friends, I'm going to go back to my muggle life now. I wish I could stay here and play with you all day. I would. But I have to go back to my muggle life. Anyway, I am sending you guys so much love and light. Thank you for listening to me info dump about starseeds and what it means to be a Pleiadian starseed. I kind of hope that some of you, if you don't know what starseed you are, you know, my hope for you by listening and seeing my excitement in finding the starseed cluster that I resonate with, my hope for you is that you find your cluster. Maybe we're part of the same cluster. Maybe we're cluster buddies. Anyway, you guys make me so happy. But yeah, I'm going to go now. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day or night whenever you're listening to this. I'll probably be back tomorrow or Saturday with another Soul Tribe reading. So I will see you very soon. And yeah, I'm sending you guys, as always, lots of love and light. And if you want to share with me your Taurus, what you're eating, I love to talk about food. My friend sent me she's like, I'm eating chips. I'm like, what kind of chips are you eating? I need to know what kind they are. I need to get some. I'm a Taurus. I love food and I love talking about food. It's a love language. So tell me what you're eating. Anyway, I love you guys and I'll see you later, my besties. Bye.